with potentials to find your spouse. A little early for Asher here, but at the right time.
Oh, no,
There
are people listening.
You're also 20, okay. Okay, also a little young, but
That's actually old.
If you want to be Hasidic, yeah,
that's right.
3 kids by now.
I feel I should have 5 kids
Right,
now.
right. Depends.
He's already too old.
They already, right before you turn 18, they're already looking for you.
That's right. That's right. Really, a lot of cultural differences to different communities about the age, but for the right point, at the right time, we're preparing some people. It's too late already. Everybody here is married. I'm married. I'm married 30 years. 30 years yesterday, or last week. Baruch Hashem. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary, and
What'd you do?
we're very blessed. Oh, we had a very special celebration with a few different places and some R&R and special meals and special hotels and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and like I say, once in 30 years, you can allow yourself to splurge a little bit, So, no, every year we celebrate, but 30 is a special one, so we give it a little extra.
How old are you?
I was 26, now 56. Yeah. I was 26 years old. Thank you. I look 76. What? And the white is coming in. It's just goes with the territory. But thank you. I guess I'm happy to be my age, whatever it is.
All right.
At the right time. There's no absolute right time to get married. You have to be ready. Now, part of getting ready is what we're doing right now. We're trying to understand how to present yourself, first of all, to yourself. How to know yourself. Know thyself. What was that Aristotle?
It's the dumb thing from the
Right. Yeah.
from the temple of Delphi.
Yeah, right. Know thyself. So part of the going through this process of preparing what we call a shidduch profile is that it's healthy not only for others to be able to, scroll through your profile on one of these dating apps, which is not what we're talking about specifically. We're just talking about even if you want to get married through a shadchan, through somebody personal. Even your friend, even your uncle, even your cousin, all the people who know you, your friends and family and your co-workers, if they want them to help you, find an appropriate match. Because you're not just going to go to the bar and hang out and get drunk and, she's a pretty girl, let's hook up. We don't do that in our Torah lifestyle. So the way to meet people is usually by introductions. Introductions can be through many different modes, through different methods, as we mentioned the other day, online methods, personal, all different kinds of connections. But for most cases, this woman called me up the other night, said, I need a shidduch for my daughter, she's a lovely girl, and maybe you have somebody at Machon Meir. I get calls like this all the time. And I said to her, it's very nice talking to you and thank me, tell me something a little bit about her. And she tells me a little bit. But in the end I said to her, listen, send me something. Because, how am I going to remember? I had the conversation with you. I know all the details. I know, I can't remember everything. And then she never sent me anything. So, what can I do? I'm not going to, but you have to have something to present who you are and what you're looking for and a little bit about your background and so forth. So we started to go through the details of that last time. I asked you as homework to actually complete the exercise. Did anybody do that?
What, to make a shirt for them?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have one, but
yeah, okay. But
should I send it to you? Or?
so nobody here has one? Nobody worked on it?
I do. I have one.
That's what did I say? The story about the guy takes his father takes his son to the synagogue and says, "Come, we're going to go pray for rain because we need so much rain, and there's been a drought." And the son says to him, Tati, that's Yiddish for father, dad, if we're going to pray for rain, how come we didn't bring an umbrella? But he says, you got to take yourself seriously if you really want to consider getting married. So one of the steps is that you have to have...
People want to drink the rain, want to taste the rain.
Beautiful. Okay, good. An excuse for everything. But the point is, to get ready, to be able to be ready, you have to know how to, sort of describe yourself and how to know thyself in order to describe thyself. So that's what we started to do. I asked you a few questions. So everybody take a piece of paper. If you could find me some blank pieces of paper here that have a blank side. The other side could be full of other stuff. It's not important. Just find the blank pieces of paper, and we'll do it again. We'll do the exercise again. Those who dog ate their homework are going to have to do it again from scratch, because the dog, unless the dog's going to find you a shidduch, is the dog going to? Maybe, who knows? But she might be a dog. There's an expression like that. Is there still an expression like that for ugly women?
In New Jersey, we say grenade.
Okay. Anyways, so write down on the piece of paper as following: name.
Where pieces of paper?
Your
Thank you.
age. Your height. Now, some people add on your weight and your hair color and your eye color, but you don't have to go crazy. These are basics. And we talked about the issue of a picture.
You have to get that shot.
Some people like giving a picture, some people don't like giving a picture, some people demand a picture, some people refuse to give a picture because it shouldn't be about looks. It should.
Of course, it should be about looks. What the heck?
So we're going to leave out that discussion right now about the picture. Not going to fight about that, but you need to have something which describes your. Okay, this is
I want my
this is
children
the
to
basic
have
stuff.
a little easier.
Okay. Okay.
It's so easy if they're.
So then the next stage is also very similar, like a resume. You need to have your education
Your idea.
and your employment history. But again, the point is not the business side of things, but they should get an idea of what you've done in your life. Now that's section 2, which is business-like. This is just technical stuff. This also, you studied X, Y, Z. You got this job and that job and that job. It doesn't have to be a whole page long. The point is not to tell you where exactly I worked at IBM and then I got laid off and then I spent 6 months at this company and then another 6 months at that company. The point is you sort of describe what you've been doing with yourself up until this point in your life, what you've studied, what you worked at, if you've had a job, if you hadn't, etc. It's in broad pictures. You don't have to give all the details of all the places of employment. That's not what we're looking for here. Then the next part is a little more significant, and that is your we'll call it, for lack of a better word, your religious, I'll say it in general terms, what we're looking for is your religious history. In other words, we're talking about getting married in a religious context. Somebody who cares about Torah and mitzvot, and you need to be on the same page or heading in the same direction as your spouse. Did you grow up Jewish? So here, part of your religious history is Jew or not. Now you laugh because actually people like to hide it. Some people hide. They say, I don't want to present myself as a ger.
I want to.
Some people do. So there's an issue here, whether or not you can hide things from your resume or not. I think that it's a complicated question. The baseline attitude should be truth. And if not in the shidduch profile, the full story should come out very soon in the relationship. It depends, if there's something relevant, if something out of the ordinary, you could put in here medical history. If you have something that the other side should know about, you've got a medical history which is out of the ordinary. You should say that you have a condition. You take psychological drugs on a regular basis. It's quite common nowadays. You were diagnosed with schizophrenia, so they should know, are they going out with Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde?
Right.
They should know if there's two people. Nowadays we don't, I'm just, saying it extreme. But if there is a medical issue, specifically, it's hard for me to talk over you. Jokes are good, but let's make it for everybody. For example, if you have a problem with your fertility.
How do you know that?
Sometimes you know.
Which siddur do you use?
No, that's maybe part of your religious history. I grew up davening Nusach Ashkenaz and I switched to Nusach Sfard or Sfaradi or whatever. If it's important to you, whatever's important part of your religious history. But getting back to the medical issue, sometimes for example, a friend of my wife's, friend of ours, for many years, she had cancer when she was a teenager. She got better, Baruch Hashem, but the doctors told her, you're never going to be able to have children. Baruch Hashem, she's married happily for, I think, about 20 years now, to a guy who knew. She didn't lie, and they adopted. They adopted children, many children, and she's a wonderful mother. But she came out. He had to know what he's getting into, and to accept that. Don't know which rabbi he asked, but it's an issue. Sometimes you know. Sometimes you don't know. Obviously, you can't write it. But if you know you'll have a medical condition,
There's no reason.
The joke is they say that this guy he gets married to a girl because of his shidduch, and he didn't really, he met her once or twice, and then after the wedding, he goes to complain to the shadchanit. She only has one leg. Beforehand, she was wearing a dress, a skirt, whatever. He couldn't see. And the shadchanit says, "So what? Who cares? Well, why is this an issue?" So, all right.
Wow.
There are different standards in different communities, but what's okay, what's normal. But I'd say, again, there may be reasons you want to hide it, but honesty is usually the best policy. There's some cases in which if you lie, it can make the marriage invalid. Because the guy says, well, I only gave her the ring on intention, on the condition that she wasn't, didn't have this condition where she would become psychotic every time there's a full moon, for example. So that's a condition that,
Werewolf?
Werewolf, who knows?
Mercury's in retrograde.
I don't know that, but anyways, this is a part of who you are, describing who you are. Now there's two other parts about who you are. I'm going to continue the list over here. Next section to write after you sort of describe your religion, your medical history, if there is one, a relative, You don't have to say, oh, I have, allergies every spring. That's a normal thing or I have an allergy to peanuts. Hey, you don't have to put that in your shidduch profile. You work out. That's not something that's, significant. I'm talking about, big things. Then, this is one more thing. What was I going to say here? This is all history. This is so far. This is history. You see up till here? History, employment, history, education, history. This is all the past. Your name, your age, your height. That's looking back. Now we're going to look at your current situation. Current situation is two aspects. One is your personality. What you're like. I'm an outgoing guy, introvert, extrovert. I like sports. I love fitness, or I love playing computer games. There's, a little bit about you could be both. But describe your personality. I'm cheerful. I'm helpful. I'm thoughtful. I'm very smart. We brought that example last time. Someone said this is a big part of who I am, is that I'm very brainy. There's all different types to try to describe personality. And then the second aspect is your, for the lack of a better word, we'll call it your hashkafa. Where you are now, not just in terms of your religious history, you go back, you were Baal Tshuva. What's your religious position or orientation?
That's me.
For example, nowadays we have all sorts of labels, but sometimes the labels are a bad thing to label someone. Sometimes they're useful. You have to be able to give the content without boxing you into a box. Content is, I learn Torah. Torah is a big part of my life. I daven 3 times a day. I learn every day. This is the current status. Okay? Current status and
SSSK.
plus what do we say? Orientation plus direction. Where you want to be headed. Okay, now I don't learn every day, but I want to learn every day. Or I go to davening once a week, but I want to be stronger. Go to minyan every day. Those are types of things that you would write in section B. Okay, once we finish with the history of where you've been, where you are now, and hopes, your direction for the future. And finally, section 3 is going to be, right, so this is section 2, this is section 1.
How do you say orthodox in Hebrew?
Dati usually.
Orthodoxy.
Yeah. And number 3 is
Expectation.
Yeah, expectation, exactly. In expectations in a spouse, in a mate, what you're looking for. Looking for. Okay, I want to have somebody that wants to have a big family. No, I'm looking to have someone that was a small family. I want to have someone that has to have blonde hair. No, I hope not. But something more serious.
I want somebody tall.
Tall, sure, you can write that because you're tall. So you can say, it will be weird to go with, although my brother's very tall and his wife is of 30 years, is very short. So I wouldn't rule it out. But someone who, nowadays, what do we say? Someone who is cares about settling Eretz Yisrael. Because I want to go and live on a yeshuv, on a hilltop, and I want to be a shepherd. So I need a shepherdess. I need someone who likes nature, because I love going in the nature hikes, and I want her to come with me. Or more significantly, nowadays we talked about the labels and religious orientation. So there's I want someone that's only going to wear a wig, because my rabbis teach me that that's the best way a woman should cover her hair. It's a halacha in the Torah. Women have to cover their hair. So there's different styles, which, I'm more in line with. And so you say, okay, I want a woman who's going to wear a wig, or I want a woman who's going to cover her hair. Nowadays there's people that cover part of their hair, not all of their hair.
Or at least on Shabbat. Or festivals?
Oh, some will go only cover their hair when they go to shul. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying that's a category. If you have to be honest about what you're looking for and what direction you're heading. I hope everybody here in this room who is learning what we believe is the right approach to Torah and mitzvot should be looking for women that cover their hair. Although there are some very big rabbis whose wives didn't cover their hair, and when they asked those rabbis about it,
the
Rebbe,
his wife.
No,
Sometimes
she did not.
she sometimes didn't cover her hair.
That's
No,
like, could
no.
not be farthest thing from the truth.
No, she doesn't.
Chaim Mishkashnirs and
I highly doubt that.
covered
I don't
her.
know.
There.
I wasn't there, but
Google it.
okay. In any case, there are situations. Even that, like you said, I really want somebody tall, but turns out she's short. But she's the one that's perfect for me, and all the other things. And she loves Torah, she loves God, she's accepting of all the halacha, and she's a particular issue in this, particular problem in this issue in this area. There's room to talk about it, but in general, the idea is that you accept Torah and mitzvah. Not everything works out. Right, the Rebbe and his wife, they were engaged for over 10 years before they could get married. Because of the war, because of all sorts of things, and then they didn't have any children, right? So it's unusual. Of course, I'm sure they wanted to, but they couldn't. Nothing's perfect. But he didn't divide. Right, all their Hasidim are their children, right? Okay, so everybody have a piece of paper? Okay, so I'll give you 10 minutes. Once again, you're all set. Okay, and we're gonna try to get down something about each area, and then we'll share a little bit, and you'll get ideas about what you can say. I want to also next time bring you a personality chart full of words that you can use to describe yourself. But I went through something similar, by the way, with many students who are applying for conversion. Right? You're asked to write a personal essay. So you have to tell a little bit about yourself, about your religious history, about what you went through in order to get where you are today, so that they will know something a little bit about you in the Beit Din and be able to evaluate whether they should accept you to the Jewish people. So here you're not being evaluated for acceptance as the Jewish people, but you are going to be evaluated for whether or not this is somebody I would like to meet. So you're hoping that the person reading it will, so obviously you're not going to say all your bad faults, okay, I don't brush my teeth every day, and sometimes I'm mean to my sister. Yeah, you don't have to get into, you could say the positive things and not the negative, but you should try to be honest and not hide any, specifically if you have an anger problem, I don't know, that you should work on that, but you can say you're working on it. But if it's a real serious problem, then you should, you can't deny it.
Rabbi, take that.
Okay. Fill that in later. Okay, you're doing measuring. Okay, everybody measure themselves. Stand up. Give everybody.
I'm
6'3".
I'm 5'7".
Maybe I'm 5'5".
I'm 5'7" plus a bit.
Yeah.
I'm 5'4".
Short.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. How much is 5'5"?
10 meters.
I think there's like 7'5" somehow, so. So I was only gonna go 7'5" by mistake. I don't think that's true, so.
Okay. Okay, a few minutes. Can I use this with the, discuss it with the class?
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Great.
She said, I have 163.
Okay. So we only have 15 minutes left. So I'll give you another few minutes. Write down some things, and I'll use one example, and we'll start to learn from it how to improve your presentation. Okay, let's start discussing it. You guys obviously can take this home and continue to work on it afterwards, but just thank you to Yoshio for allowing me to use this as talking points, his profile that he wrote to me. So you can see it's short. You can look over here and you'll see that it's, 6 lines?
Rough draft.
Which is not bad, but it's a rough draft. It's a good place to start. So he writes here, my name is Yeshayahu Tzvi Zmora, 28 to 184 centimeters, and you went to high school. Okay. And then he says, I guess this is the work employment history.
Yeah.
It says here, high-tech law, sales, businesses, administration. I'd say that's pretty impressive, but it's meaningless because with a high school diploma, you worked in law,
Yep.
you worked in high-tech.
Yep.
That's interesting, but you really have to explain that a little bit. And say,
As a paralegal.
So say I worked as a paralegal for 3 years. I looked for, in high tech, I did data entry for 1 year. For example, say what you did so that it makes some sense. Businesses registration could be a million things. Could mean I managed a startup. It could mean that I was a secretary in my dad's firm, right? So you need to give it a little more detail, okay? So that's number one. Okay. Next, then you say, I guess this is the section where you talk about your religious history. So you say, convert. Studied with Chavrutot in synagogue, and you went to Machon Meir. It's a good start. But convert today could mean a million things. Where did you convert? With Rich Beit Din. And what community were you in? You studied with Chavrutot. For how long? Doesn't say how long were you in the process. Where you completed the process. Now you're in Machon Meir for how long? It's been 3 months?
No,
So,
A year.
in Machon Meir?
Yeah, but I've just been in the Spanish program.
You were in the Spanish program before this. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So you're right. I did a year in the Spanish program and now 3 months in the English program. Just add a little more detail because it's just too vague. It's, you don't have to get every detail from this month to that month. But it's a big difference if you studied Machon Meir for 3 weeks or for a year and a half. It's a big difference, right? So you have to flesh it out a little bit. Okay? No medical history, no medication, good, that's fine. You don't have to expand upon that if there's nothing relevant to say. Not important for this case. Now, your current direction in terms of hashkava and in terms of personality. So you have both on one line 3 things about your religious orientation. It says, Dati Lumi, learn every day, pray 3 times a day. It's not bad. That's a pretty classic definition. And Dati Lumi says a lot. It means religious, national religious, and this is the world that you presenting. This is how you live your Judaism. Not a bad thing. Not a bad description. It's very short, but that's okay. It definitely uses a lot. The term Dati Lumi by itself says your attitude towards the state of Israel, your attitude sometimes, but it's kind of a wide umbrella. Dati Lumi, you could have someone who is very careful about halacha, and somebody is like the equivalent term in America is maybe modern Orthodox. So but then so that could be fleshed out a little bit, but it's not bad. But then when it comes to personality, help me out here, guys. Tell me if this is a good description of Yoshiyahu. No, or does this description, it's 4 words. I'm serious, traditional, social, comical. That's it.
What was the last word?
Comical.
Humorous.
Serious and humorous.
Exactly. That's my question too. Wait a minute. Am I serious or am I comical? That's that. And traditional
You're not serious.
is okay.
You're serious about Torah, but you're
also-
not a serious person.
Okay, you could say that. That would help it. That would explain a little bit. Social is good. Social means you like people. Maybe it needs to be fleshed out. That's what I'm saying. Just these bullets, one word, it's almost not telling you anything. Because it could mean a million things. Okay. Now, last thing I want to comment on is the last line. So we're looking for tall. Okay, so there's a nice list here. Interesting. Pay attention. Tall. Shomeret halacha. Good character. Wants kids. Preferably not American. Okay, so five things that you're looking for. And then at the end of the list of 5, you write, all this is optional.
Yeah, because like if
Wait a minute, one second. Preferably not American, I understand, that's optional. So it's okay if he's American and she happens to be the right one, I understand that. But what do you mean? Shomeret halacha is only optional? Good character, is that optional? If she's an axe murderer, you're gonna like her? I don't know. She wants kids? No. If she doesn't want kids, it's also okay. I mean, you got to take yourself seriously here. Do you? Because there are some women who can't have kids, like we said before. Some kids who don't want kids, that they want 1 or 2, and not 5. It depends on, there's different preferences. So this is also, I would say, not a helpful list. Right. You could say tall, makes sense, because I'm tall, and that's a preference. You could say preferably not American. I don't find myself attracted to American girls necessarily. I can understand those are preferences, but then you have to.
Kinds of American girls. How can you say how does an American girl look like?
Right,
I can
it's
go.
true.
Well, it's not about looks; it's about their culture and stuff. And I can go on, but I'm being recorded.
Yeah. It could be. Some people, they want. I want a European girl. I want an Israeli girl. There's all sorts of. There are these character types, which are not as so useful because it doesn't really get to the heart of what does American mean. You're absolutely right. But that I'm willing to live with a little bit because you're giving some direction that's useful. But when you say, Shomeret Halacha.
Well, I guess that's not optional.
I guess that's not optional.
Some of these things are optional. Like if you found
And good character, that's not optional.
That's not optional.
But also, that's kind of vague. What do you mean, good character?
Somebody who isn't like completely boring and is.
That has nothing to do with what you wrote. Boring is very good.
Boring.
Something interesting. Okay, that's it. Really depends on different people find different things interesting. So these are just general words. Wants kids. Okay, what woman doesn't want kids? Some don't, but it's a little vague.
Some are very
Good character. Good character. You want somebody who's humorous, somebody who's serious, somebody who is outgoing or quiet. You want somebody who is very smart, interesting. What's interesting to you? What's interesting to you?
Somebody with character. Somebody who isn't like dull and bland.
Okay, that would be something you could write, but you didn't write that.
Right.
So anyways, it was a good beginning. It enabled me to give an example. It's not a question of whether this is a practice session. So thank you. All right. What else? Somebody want to ask a question or have a specific issue that they were dealing with when they were writing this up?
Communication. Or
Excellent. That might be something you would add here in the basic details, right? Or in your,
whether or not Israeli girls.
I also not. If it's something important to you, specify it by all means. Some people say, I need somebody that knows a good English because that's my preferred language, and I won't be able to express myself if they only know 3-4 words. So it's not going to be much of a conversation. If my Hebrew is good enough, and I can want to work on it, I can improve. Then, as long as she knows a little English and I know a little Hebrew, we could work it out. Maybe that's possible, but definitely language is a good thing to think about. What else? Somebody else?
What's the question, Rob?
Comments so far about this process, about writing things down.
I think it's good. I just I think the personality is the biggest.
You're saying this is the hard one to describe.
The most subjective and the least helpful. Because it's really subjective, and I'm not sure it helps to specify what I'm looking for in her personality, because you can't know.
Well, some people think they do. A lot of people think they do know, and sometimes you know through experience. I went out with this girl, and I could just tell that she was always wanted to go out and party and be with people, and I can't stand that. I like to be at home reading a book, right? And so it was just the relationship didn't work. So then you learn from that experience. Okay, I shouldn't look for someone who's a socialite, who's somebody who wants to be out with people all the time, because it's not the right thing. Sometimes you learn about these things from experience, from going out on dates and meeting other people. But you're right, it is hard.
You can also rule out the girl that you might forgive all these things because you really like her. It's
I'm not talking about, and I hope you're not talking about, wow, she's just so pretty that, forget about everything else. I know somebody who had a shidduch profile, a long list of demands, and one of those demands was that she has to be someone who has a good family life. So he was looking for it because his family life was not so good. He wanted to marry into a solid family. And then I see him, and he just, set a date to go out with this girl. It was a broken family. It was well known. Everybody knew that, their parents were divorced and the father was in jail or something like that. Really a problem. So I asked him, what happened with your, this is the one thing that you always said, that you need somebody with a good family. And he said to me, well, she's gorgeous. He's just, so that. So the end of the story, by the way, is that it didn't last more than one date. It's only going to get you so far. Hopefully, date. One date. One date.
One day.
Really, he probably shouldn't have gone out on that one date either, because looks are important, but looks are not everything. Now, looks is part of what you're looking for, if you know that, you have a thing for redheads, then it's legitimate. If that's what's going to help you connect to your spouse, we have to accept who we are.
But you don't see your wife's head.
What? Before you get married.
Yes, before you're married, and in private you can see her.
Yeah.
I mean, in private, most of the time she's gone.
Single
So that's a good question. There are Kabbalistic writings. The Zohar says, for example, that the holiest tzaddikas should never uncover her hair, even in the privacy of her own home.
Why?
And what that means is, even according to the Zohar, which is, by the way, that's not standard halacha. A woman is allowed to keep her hair uncovered at home. But even the Zohar says that doesn't mean that's true when you're having intimate relations. The assumption is that when you're having a sexual encounter, then you must be naked. Okay, so this is part of who you are. It's part of. Okay. Your eyes get used to the dark. Your eyes get used to the dark. No, it's a good point that you raise, because there's all sorts of conceptions that people have of, the way religious people conduct themselves in private. But I would say that the standard is that a husband and wife do see each other and should get used to and appreciate each other's bodies. And this is not something that we're ashamed of. All in the right time and place. The issue of hair covering, it doesn't mean she doesn't have hair. There's some chasidiyot where the direction is they shave their hair after and so. But that's an extreme version. Small segment of the Hasidic world. Most Hasidim do not promote that attitude, and personally, that's not what I consider healthy. But again, that's a longer conversation about unique Hasidic customs and worldviews and ways. If it goes together with the whole package, I'm not here to judge. God will be the judge. But that's not standard Orthodox Judaism. There are different, as we said, we mentioned briefly before, there's some different rabbis who have different approaches to covering hair, all the hair. You can leave a little bit out, a little bit on the sides, a little bit on the forehead. Moshe Feinstein said tshuva. We can get into all the details of hair covering for women, but that doesn't mean that they don't have hair anymore. But anyways, that was just an example I said about looks. What is, there's all different types, and you have to. You can't know everything. Definitely, that shouldn't. Usually, it's not an issue ahead of time. If you appreciate the person and you grow to love them, you could probably get along with 99% of the way people look. If the love is there and the personality is who you fall in love with. But there are exceptions. There's always exceptions. So that's not. It is legitimate if you know something about yourself. But sometimes you don't know. You think because you think you know, but you don't always know. We have to stop here because the clock is ticking and we have to go to Mincha. But B'ezrat Hashem, hopefully this process is helpful. And you're absolutely right, Shmuel. We have to help you define your personality a little better. B'ezrat Hashem next time.